Hello everybody, welcome to Ecstasy Crafts. I'm really excited to share this project with you. This is a card box, so it is designed to hold greeting cards, and it is a great gift to give to someone, or it's great just to have on hand. It's really nice. It looks just like a book. It will sit on your bookshelf. It will hold, depending on how much you like to foam tab your cards, it will hold at least 10 cards in here. Sometimes you can get more with their envelopes. So you will open it up, and then you can see on each side I have 5 cards and 5 envelopes. So today we are going to create the card box. That's July's class. And then in August, we are going to the August class. We're going to do 10 corresponding cards. Oh, and I do know these are upside down. I put them upside down so that the folded hinge would show out. It's easier to grab them that way. We are going to create 10 coordinating cards of the Bees and Butterfly Paper Rose paper. In August class to fit into here. So without further ado, let's get on with creating the box. Oh, and if you want to do the card class as well, it is available already. So we'll get moving forward with this. So you can see I've used 3 different papers with this. I've done a Velcro closure, and I included a really cute little bee die. These are all Paper Rose products that we're going to use today. So your kit will contain, let me turn these papers over. This paper, you're going to use both sides of it, and then these papers, you're using these sides. You've got white cardstock, you have the bee die cuts, which I've already gone ahead and die cut my bees for today's project, and your instructions. For material that you will need to complete this, we have a scoreboard, a ruler. I like to use 2 types of trimmers. I use a regular size trimmer for doing my big sheets, and then when I start doing small stuff, I like to use a small guillotine, some good glue, and a pair of scissors. And I think that's it. You might need do you need a pick? No, you don't even need a pick. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that we are going to do, let me run you through how I refer to the papers. So with the Paper Rose papers, at the bottom of the sheets, it has oh, wait a minute, I can't get this under there we go. It has the name of the collection, so Bees and Butterflies Basics, and it is A. And then we have B and E. Those are the ones that we are using, so I will refer to those according to the alphabet assigned to that sheet of paper. All right. Now, so we are going to, what are we going to do first? We are going to do our cardstock. There are actually 1 addition and 1 correction to the instructions. So on the very first page of your instructions, under the instruction, down right here where it says cut a piece of white cardstock 2 inches by 2 3/8 and score at 1 7/8. It should have said along the 2-inch side. And then also on the second page, on the back of the first page, down in the instructions for the inside cover, paper A, the last line of the first paragraph, cut 2 pieces from this measuring 7 by 5 inches, and 1 piece measuring 7 It says 7 by 7/8. It should say 7 by 1 7/8. So if you want to make that correction, and that's it. All right, so starting with, I need my big trimmer. I'm just going to move my tools off to the side behind me and I'll grab them as I go. So I will need my bigger trimmer. And we are going to cut a piece of white cardstock, 8.5 inches by 7 1/8. I'm going to cut these first and then I'll bring the scorer in just because of the space here. So 8.5 inches, your paper's already 8.5 inches. So I am just going to, I don't usually use this trimmer, so bear with me. 7 1/8 inches. So 7 1/8 inches. So there's my first piece. Discard that. And then I need another piece that is 5 1/8 by 7 1/8. So 5 1/8. By 7 1/8. All right, so I've got those two. Here's my scoreboard. All right, so the larger piece, the first one that we cut, was 8.5 by 7 1/8. And I'm going to score it at 5 1/8 and 7 1/8. So 5 1/8 and 7 1/8. All right. So this, what we're doing right now is creating, oh look, I'm going to put this back into the trimmer. I think my paper shifted a little bit when I cut this because it is not lining up. Let's have a look, see here. This should have been 7 1/8. This was the cut side, 7 1/8. So when I did my score, it was lining up on one side, but not the other. Oh, and it is off. I'm actually going to recut this. Sorry about that. It must have shifted when I was trimming it. 8.5, so it's already 8.5, so I need to cut this 7 1/8. Make sure that's in there good and tight. There we go. Okay, let's do this again. So we want it on the 8.5 length here to score it, and I'm going to score at 5 1/8 and 7 1/8. So 8.5 across the length on the top. I'm going to score it at 5 1/8 and 7 1/8. That's better. All right. So, I'm just going to shift my board up a little bit here. So what this is, so my first two pieces are going to create the box. So I'm going to put glue on here. I'm going to glue this into place here. Just like that. Just making sure everything lines up there. Apply a good layer of glue. And once I lay this down into place, I want to make sure that this is going to hinge okay for me. So I'm going to fold that up, make sure I have enough room for bending, just like that. Just clean up any glue that squishes out if you've gone too close to the edges. There we go. So this is the base unit. So we're going to put that off to the side, and now I'm going to cut my next pieces. So I'm going to cut a piece of white cardstock. The remaining pieces. This creates the back cover. So I take one of your little scrap pieces that you just used, that you took off the main pieces, and we need a piece that's 2 inches by 2 3/8. So I'm going to use my little trimmer here for this, my little guillotine. So I'm going to cut this 2 3/8, so that's 1 2 3/8. By 2 inches. Just like that. Those are discard. All right. So I've got this. And I want to score this. So we're scoring along the 2 inch side, which means I want to score following the 2 inch edge. So I've got the 2 3/8 up here, and I want to score it at 1 7/8. So that is right here, just like that. One item I did forget to bring into the studio was my corner punch. I actually had rounded, I just like the finished look of it, doing it like this to round, because that's what this piece is for. This is this, but for my sample today, because I don't have my round punch here, I will be leaving it square. But round it. Looks nice if you want to. If you don't worry about it. Okay, so now if we've done that one, the next piece we're going to cut are, you need 2 pieces of cardstock, 6 inches by 9 5/8. Now, I wonder, am I going to be able to? Nope, I will be right back. I have to, because I messed up my first cut, I need to go grab another piece of cardstock. Unless I happen to have one in the studio. No, I do not. I will. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, look at that. I did. Ha. Perfect. Okay. I was going to have to run out of the studio, but I don't have to now. So now I need 2 pieces of white cardstock that are 6 inches by 9 5/8. All right, so 6 inches. So I'm going to cut my length to 6 inches. And 9 5/8. So just like that. There's 1. 6 inches. And then 9 5/8. So these are going to be the inside pieces, like the inside of the box that are going to hold the cards into place. All right. All right, so we've got 2 of these. So we're going to score along just one of the long sides. We need one side scored and one side not along the long length, okay? And we are going to score at 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches. So I always have a hard time scoring my 1/2 inch here. And because we're working in a nice even number, I'm going to come in from the 6 1/2 inch, so that's going to give me my 1/2 inch score. And then I need to score again at 1.5. So there's 1 inch and then 1.5. So it's the same thing if you turn it around this way, it's going to give you the same scores. I just find it easier. I'm right-handed, works easier this way for me. So we need to score both of these along that long length like that at 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches. All right, and then we are going to flip this around and we're going to score on both short ends, here and here, at 1/2 inch and 1.5 inch. So because this is an awkward measurement here, I do have to, for this one, score down here 1/2 inch and 1.5 inch, and then I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to score it again at 1/2 inch and 1.5 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch, flip it around, 1/2 inch and 1.5 inch. So just like that. All right, so now we need our scissors here. I did do a little diagram. It didn't show up quite as nicely as I would have liked it to. Just showing you what part you're cutting out. So my diagram has the scored pieces closest to me and then the unscored piece away from me. And what we are going to do is we want to cut out these corners completely. The scored corners. So I'm just going to trim these up. So we're going to take that corner completely out on both sides. On both pieces that we just created. So we've got two pieces that look just like this. All right, now I'm going to get my score knife and I'm just going to fold these. I'm going to score them. Easier to manipulate when you've got these nicely burst down. There we go. Now we have two of those. So these will create the inside of your box. And that is the little pocket, so to speak, that will hold your cards. All right. So we're going to flip over to the back page for the next set. Right, so I'm telling you to cut your corners. Okay, so in here, we're going to cut our corners. So what you can do is line them up, just like this. Take your scissors. I don't know how well you can see this, hang on. So see how I've got them lined up? And I'm just going to take my scissors like this. Right into the corner like this. You see that? And then I'm just going to snip it. I can come back in after and finish it up. But that'll give you a nicely mitered corner. So when you fold these in, they will line up beautifully. Same thing on this side. And then trim them up and then do the exact same thing for the other one. All right, now I am not going to fasten these in yet. I like to put my finished paper on here first, so I'm just going to put these off to the side. I'm going to try really hard to follow my instructions to the T this time. So it says each sheet will have a letter after the name, which I've already gone over with you. So now we have all our cardstock bases created. Now we're going to start cutting our decorative papers to finish the project. So we are going to start with the outside cover, which is paper B, which is this paper here. That says B on it. All right, so we are going to do this strategically because you can see when I've done this how it lines up, okay? So if you follow the instructions, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, you cannot see this, we're going to cut this off here. So we're going to start with that on my trimmer, and we're going to cut that piece right off. We're just going to line that up inside our trimmer. We're going to take that right off. I keep all these. I don't know about other people, but they make great additions for cards, just a little accent piece, whatever you want, or you can do some strip stuff. And you can see I actually did not quite cut that as nicely as I would have liked. I can still see a little bit of the green. I'm just going to take a little wee bit off that again. All right, so that is done now. So we want to utilize this piece right here. So we are going to do a couple of very strategic cuts for this project to ensure that we are saving the pieces that we want to use and to have it so it positions appropriately on your box. So what we are going to do is we've trimmed that excess off. Now we want to cut, we're going to measure from this edge up to here. So I'm telling you to cut the lower 7 inches of the whole sheet. So we're going to go right across here. So I want to measure 7 inches. And line that up at 7 inches, just like that. So now I have a 7-inch strip utilizing this portion of the sheet. So now we're going to take this piece. I'm going to put this off to the side because I will be using this for extra pieces. So hang on to this excess piece, because we're going to use the extra pieces off of that. So for this one, now we want to cut the beehive, measuring 5 inches from the left-hand side of the paper. From the left-hand side. There is another mistake. So it's actually going to be from the right hand. Well, yeah, it should be from the right hand because we're going to cut this here. I think it will work either way. You know what? I will practice this and try it to see, just in case for those of you who have cut already. So let's see. So I'm saying cut 5 inches from the left-hand side of this paper. It's going to work because you use every ounce of this paper except for a little wee strip. So there is, but this is actually going to be my back cover. Now, my next piece needs to be 1 7/8. 1 7/8, so right there. That. 1 7/8. And then I don't, how much do I have to take off? Because we need a 5-inch strip. So we're just gonna, yeah. So then we're just taking a little wee bit off of this to give me my other 5-inch piece. So just like that, that's your front cover. So it goes like this. So that's how little of that 12-inch strip we used. So front cover, spine, back cover, just like that. Front cover, spine, and see how the pattern continues? That's why I wanted you to cut it strategically. And then that's going to be your back cover. All right, so those are cut. Now, I'm telling you to go back to this sheet because what we're going to cut from here, we need 4 strips at 7/8 of an inch. And what these are going to give you are these pieces here. All of these. And to get for all of them, we need 4 strips at 7/8 of an inch. So we're just going to take this piece here and we're going to tuck it back in 7/8 of an inch. Where am I sitting at here? 4 strips, 7/8 of an inch. I just sometimes find it easier. There we go, that's what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to cut from this side because I want to use as little as this little bit here because I'd like to keep as much of this plain paper without the pattern. So I need 4 pieces, 7/8 of an inch. Indecision. Sorry, folks. So I'll go back. I hate cutting these 7/8 of an inches. They're difficult to make sure that you get it all lined up nice. So there's my first one. Two. There's 3, one more. There. Got this left over for something else. Got a really nice beehive pattern there, so I personally would keep that for something. All right, oh, I'm not done trimming yet. I also need okay, so I need 4 pieces at 4 3/8. So let's do that for, actually I can do this on my small trimmer now. 4 3/8. 4 pieces, 4 3/8. There's 1. Two. Three. These are the short sides. And then I need 2 pieces at 6 1/2 inches. Darn, see that? I can't do it on there. 6.5, jumping back and forth. Six and a half inches. I'm going to cut these together. There we go. Six and a half inches. Okay. Next, we're going to cut the inside paper, which is going to be, oh, wait a minute, hang on, paper A, nope, this is E. Inside cover is what we're cutting, which is going to be the wood grain pattern. So now this is one where I'm going to be really specific about what you're cutting, because what we want to preserve is the golden moments and this B. So we are going to cut everything from the lower half of this page, so down near what I call the salvage edge. Okay, so this is paper B. Cut the lower 7 inches just like we did with the previous one. First, I'm going to cut this salvage edge off. There we go. Salvage is gone. Now we are going to, I want to cut still from the salvage edge, so to measure it appropriately, I need to flip it around. I'm going to cut 7 inches. And by cutting it that way, I still have my B and I have my golden moments. So put this piece aside because we're going to use that strategically. Now we're going to cut this piece exactly the same way we cut the first one. So we're going to cut 5 inches. So 5 inches. And then 1 7/8. That was the correction. My instructions say 7/8, but it's 1 7/8. And then another 5 inches. So just like that. There we go. And that is the inside cover of the base. Now, what we're going to cut, I take you right into cutting here. So from the back side of this paper, cut the sentiment out that says Golden Moments. So I've already got mine cut out of a previous piece. And then the honeybee on here, we want to strategically cut this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this right down here because there's lots of good stuff that you can preserve from this. To be used for other things. So we want to just take our time cutting this out, lining it up. So like that. So now I'm going to so right now I want this, and what this is going to be for is our little closure piece. So you can see how I strategically cut this out to fit in this. So this is a 2 by 2 square, I believe. No, not quite. So we are going to 1 3/4 by 1 7/8. That's what we're going to cut this. And how did I do it? I just flipped it around. So 1 3/4 will be this way. Like this. So 1 3/4. And now I'm second guessing myself here. Let's do it because it's taken too much off of this. Let's make this cut 1 7/8. Because we want to preserve as much of the B as we can. So 1 7/8 by 1 3/4. So I'm going to take a little bit off this end here as well. I'm just going to trim this up like that. And then I'm going to go with 1 3/4. And that's going to maximize that B right in the middle of this. So just like that. And then that B will fit very nicely right on here. Just like that. All right, so that's our inside paper all done. Now we're going to do the paper for the inside pockets, which is paper E. Looks like this on one side. This is the side we're using. I just found that too busy. I love it, but it's too busy. So we're going to use this one. Again, we're going to start by trimming this. We're going to get rid of that salvage edge off here. That. All right, so we need 2 pieces measuring 4 3/8 by 6 1/2. So there's no rhyme or reason to this. You can cut it however you want. I'm going to start with my 6. I'm going to cut it at 6 1/2 inches. So just like that. Put this off to the side for now. And I need it 2 pieces by 4 3/8. Now I am going to use my smaller trimmer for this. 4 3/8. And I need 2 of them. And 3/8. So just like that. And that's all we need of that paper, just those 2 pieces. So that is all our paper cut. So now we can start assembly. So I know I told you previously, oh, hang on, I'm not following my instructions again. Okay, we're starting with the outside cover. I'm bad for that. I apologize for that, but that is where I lose track of what I'm doing. Okay, so I like to put the seam on the back of anything. When I seam anything, you can't even see that in here. I put it on the back because there always ends up being a little bump. And I find if you put it on the back, you know, people are more looking at the front of something as opposed to the back of it. So I like to put it on my back covers when I have a seam in anything. All right, so I'm going to glue my covers on. So we're going to start with the front. Just keep in mind when you're gluing this on, this is directional. You want to make sure that you're putting this on the correct way. And then if you look, it's lighter at the top and darker at the bottom. Would it be really noticeable? I don't know, but just pointing that out to you when you're gluing your pieces in. So there's my front cover. Now I'm going to flip it right over and I'm going to glue my back inside covers on. And again, the only thing you're going to notice on these is the color, darker and lighter. Otherwise it doesn't matter. Once you get all your cutting done, this goes together so quick and easy. I was talking to one of my customers about it. They're taking the class and they had pointed out that it would make a fabulous hostess gift filled with cards to give this out with all occasion cards inside it as a hostess gift, and I thought that was a brilliant idea. I will be making some in Christmas papers, keeping the outside a little bit less Christmassy but filled with Christmas cards inside, and then you can put regular cards in it throughout the year, or you could have two, one Christmas and one non-Christmas. All right, so there we have inside and outside covers are finished. So I'm going to put this off to the side for now. And now we're going to focus on our inside pieces. So I like to leave them flat and glue everything on it like this. I just find it's easier to work with. So I'm going to start with gluing my big pieces on. I always use an 1/8 of an inch border. If you prefer a bigger one, you will have to adjust your measurements moving forward. All right, and then we have all the strips to go on. And once we get these on, we can actually put them inside. One. I'm not sure if I mentioned this at the beginning, but these fit A6 cards. I don't know that I said that. But yes, they're A6 cards, so the cards we will be making in August to go in here are A6 cards. Okay, so there are our two covers, and I do realize that I have made an error. This paper, even though it doesn't, to look at it briefly, it doesn't, and probably on camera it doesn't look directional, but there are little faded words in the background, and I should have flipped one of these. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to stress about that. So now we have, oh wait a minute, we need one more thing. I want to glue this on. Now, glue this on here. We need to, before we put the pouches on, we need to do some measuring and lining up. I'm going to put this, just gluing my B piece onto this one. My sample one, as if you're tuning in a little late, I forgot my hole punch to bring it into the studio, so I have square corners. My sample has round corners on it. Now the other thing we're going to do while we have this flat is we are going to, you have a little piece of adhesive, and we are going to fasten that onto here. Just looking for a straight pick. I do not have one. How I like to do it, it has adhesive on it. So pick a side, peel it off, find your center as far as center and to the front. So centered this way, but closer to the front of this. And put that in. Leave the other backing on it, because we're going to line it up, peel it off, and then stick it on that way. And that way it always lines up for you. And then this does need to go on, it will go on like here before we adhere these down. Now, did I, measuring in from the longest edge, 1/4 inch. So the pockets open into the spine. I'm looking for a pencil here, guys, so I can do my marks. Okay, so your ruler, we want to, so that these line up when you close it, here and here, you want to put a couple of measurements along so that you line this up appropriately and adhere it in place in the right spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure in 1/4 inch. So we're going to measure in 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put a little mark here. And there. You want to be very light-handed because it's really hard to get in there and erase these after. So I'm going to do that on both sides. So it looks like it's actually on this side. I may have gotten lucky. It's going to be really close to this line on my paper. Close, but not quite. Okay. Okay, so now I'm telling you about gluing in your Velcro closure. Put a mark on the back cover, so make sure you see I've got it upside down, so make sure there's your front cover. Back cover is here, so I'm telling you to put a mark at 3.5 inches on the other line you just made. So I'm referring to this. You can draw a line if you want. I've put a couple of tick marks. I will watch for those. And I want to come down 3.5 inches. And the 3.5 inches is being measured on the actual, in the pattern paper. The other marks were from the outer edge. 3.5 inches. So I'm gonna come out a little bit so I can see that. 3.5 inches. This one I'm not worried about, it's gonna get covered up. And then, oh, and you know what I just realized I forgot to do? This extra little piece was supposed to go inside here. It just finishes it nicely. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so what I want to do is measure on here as well. I want to find the halfway point. So it's 2 inches, so it's 1 inch. And then what I'll do is I'm going to line these up. I need to bring this line out a little bit farther so I can see it better. Because what I want to do is I want to line this up just outside of that line, but also lined up here. Because you have to allow for the hinge. So you really want it. The line that you have put, sometimes I do not explain things appropriately. The line that, the 1/4 inch line that you have created down the edge here, you know what, I'm just going to mark it on here so you guys can see it. Draw this line very faintly, like that. You want, I don't even know, oh yeah, you can see it. Okay, so you want this hinge part here on the outside of that line, but we're going to line it up with the 3.5 inch mark that we did there. Just like that. And that's just going to get glued right into place. And just making sure that that hinge line is on the outside of your 1/4 inch mark that you made. So that when it folds up and when you put your other stuff in here, it won't interfere with this grabbing onto the finished product. Okay. All right, and then We want to do the 1/4 inch again, top and bottom. To help keep everything lined up. Oh, and I did that wrong. I should be measuring from the outer edge, the white cardstock. Just remember, you want that mark very faint. It's really hard to get an eraser in there after. All right, so what I like to do is I like to start with my long edge. Okay, and I'm going to apply glue to that. Make sure that you're putting the opening to the inside. And then I'm going to line that up. With my marks. And then before that glue sets, I want to make sure that my other marks, that I've lined it up this way as well. So it is, it's in there good. And now I can add my glue to these two pieces here. Those in, fold it over, line it up with your little lines that you put for top and bottom as well. I like to take my ruler and tuck it in there. Once it sets up a little bit, then I can get my hand in. But if you try to do it too soon, it pops it up. Oh, darn. Just like that. My ruler's not firm enough, so I'm going to use my bursing knife. There we go. Now we're going to do the other side. You can see I've got that one in. And same thing, we're going to start with this one here, the long edge. Let's come out a little bit more. There we go. You're never going to see that mark. There's a little, there's a little pencil mark there. It's going to be covered up. If it bothers you though, now's the time to erase it. I don't think I quite lined this one up as well as I did the last one. Might be off just a little bit. A little wee bit, it's off. Not much. Not enough to worry about. Okay, so now we have our box. I do suggest that you leave it, let the glue dry. What we're going to do, I'm going to see if I can, I'm not going to do this right now because I'm going to see if I can, actually, let me see. Oh, I'm going to have to glue that in because I peeled everything off with it just to fit this in. That was really bugging me. Well, let's see if I can get this to glue in. I may have to replace it completely. The things that happen on camera. All right. So I'm going to center that as best I can. So I've got that back into place. But now I've glued it. I don't know how well that's going to hold for me. But this is just my sample. So the reason I tell you to leave that on is because then you can line up everything like this. You can peel that off, close it, push it, and then what I like to do, excuse me, is take my pick and go in and hold it in place and peel the Velcro apart. And then once you've done it a couple of times, it won't pull, but don't try to open and close it immediately with the Velcro in place because it does take a little bit for it to sort of, I'm going to use the word cure. I don't know if that's actually the correct word, but see, I've taken the clear plastic off the back, so now it will stick. We're going to put that in place, and now we have our finished box. So that'll hold it. And then we've got our little bees that I pre-cut out. The sentiment just goes on the back. Right in there with your little bees on it. And that's it. And we are good and ready for next month for the next class. I hope everybody enjoyed that. And I hope you take that away with you to create some really beautiful gifts for people. Thanks very much. Bye.